the jaguar had been motionless for 40 minutes. This is the most critical part of the hunt. Before anything happens. A blind spot that lasts only 3 seconds. The Amazon's ultimate predator commits. 3 seconds. A 4-meter caiman, no longer whole. Approximately 55 million years ago, the Andes began to rise. This was not merely a geological event. It created the Amazon. As the Andes climbed, they blocked Pacific winds, creating a vast, low-pressure system drawing moisture from the Atlantic. A self-sustaining moisture cycle, what scientists call the flying rivers. The result of 55 million years is 7 million square kilometers of borderless forest. A river stretching 6,400 kilometers. Carries 20% of all fresh water on Earth to the ocean each day. %10 of all species on Earth live here. Not because the Amazon is rich in the conventional sense. Diversity here does not come from soil, it comes from time. The Amazon has existed long enough and remained stable enough for life to test every possible solution. Of all that the Amazon has produced, the jaguar is its most perfect expression. Amazon jaguars are the largest of their kind. Adult males reach 79 to 96 kilograms, significantly larger than the 57 to 68 kilograms typical of Central America. This difference is not written in their genes. It is made by the environment. The Amazon offers heavier prey, larger capybara, bigger tapir, greater caiman. Evolutionary pressure from larger prey selects for jaguars with greater mass and stronger bite force. At the same time, the Amazon has more competitors. Adding selection pressure from rivals as well. The Amazon does not produce small kings, because it has no room for the weak. Before every jaguar hunt, the Amazon changes, not with sound, with silence. Within a radius of 200 to 300 meters, birds reduce or cease their calls. Mammals stop unnecessary movement. The jaguar is invisible before any prey ever sees it. It releases scent traces from sebaceous glands between its toes as it moves. Species with sensitive olfaction. Lizards, small rodents detect rising pheromone concentrations and respond by reducing activity. That response radiates outward like a sound wave through water. Larger prey, capybara, tapir, cannot detect the jaguar this way from a distance, and that is precisely why they become prey. This jaguar holds and maintains a territory of 25 to 150 square kilometers. The boundary of that territory is not a line, it is a network of markers. Claw marks on trees at 1.5 to 2 meters above the ground, urine sprayed against bark at specific angles, and scat placed at strategic points. Along regular travel corridors, these marks do not simply announce presence. They encode information: sex, age, reproductive condition, and when the mark was last refreshed. A male reads a female's marks to know when to approach. A female reads a male's marks to assess him before any meeting. Marks are renewed every 3 to 5 days. The frequency required to keep information current in humid tropical heat, where scent degrades faster than in temperate climates. On the sandbar mid-river, turtles have not come here to rest, they have come to lay eggs. This sandbar was selected against precise criteria: a slope sufficient to drain during light rain, sand grain size suited for digging and covering a nest, and most critically, a position receiving 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight each day. Nest temperature determines the sex of hatchlings in this species. Below 28 degrees Celsius produces males, above 32 degrees Celsius produces females. The choice of sandbar is not instinct alone. It reflects memory of sandbars that succeeded in previous seasons. And this is why this sandbar lies within jaguar territory. The range of this apex predator consistently covers the riverbanks, where prey density is highest. The capybara is the world's largest rodent and the single most important prey species in the jaguar's diet across the Amazon. Adults weigh 35 to 65 kilograms. They live in groups of 10 to 20, rarely venturing more than 500 meters from water. This behavior is not merely habit. Capybara are semi-aquatic. Their skin desiccates rapidly away from water, and they use rivers as their primary escape route. But that same dependence places them squarely within the jaguar's operating zone. A predator that spends 70% of its time along riverbanks. Capybara density in areas without jaguar reaches 50 to 100 individuals per square kilometer, with jaguar present 8 to 12. That difference reshapes the riverbank. Capybara at high density graze vegetation to the roots, eroding banks, sending sediment into the river. Rising sediment reduces light for aquatic plants, lowers dissolved oxygen, and shrinks fish breeding habitat. By hunting capybara consistently, the jaguar architects the shape of the riverbank. The wet season has not yet peaked. In a matter of weeks, floodwaters will rise 9 to 15 meters. Sufficient to inundate 350,000 square kilometers of forest, erasing every sandbar, every territorial boundary, every incubating turtle nest. The dry season right now, the time when sandbars are exposed, when territories can still be read, is the most concentrated moment in the entire ecosystem. Everything requires the same diminishing resource, and everything knows it. This is why the Amazon is never still. It is always in the process of calculating something. The Amazon does not announce what it holds. It simply holds. Its rulers survive not through strength alone, but because they can read and understand this system more deeply than any other creature. But the Amazon grants no ruler a throne without challenge. Black Caiman is no ordinary crocodilian. Measuring 4 to 5 meters in length, weighing 400 to 500 kilograms, it is the largest crocodilian in South America and one of the Amazon's foremost apex predators. But what sets it apart is not size. It is armor. Osteoderms, plates of bone embedded within the skin, extend across the back, flanks, and the upper surface of the skull. These plates, 3 to 4 millimeters thick and fused to the dermal structure, form armor that is flexible yet exceptionally resistant. No other large cat can penetrate them with a conventional bite. Only the jaguar. The Amazon's predator does not approach in the conventional way. The jaguar's zygomatic arch is the widest of all species in the Pantherini relative to head size. The temporalis muscle attached to this arch covers the greatest surface area of any large cat. The result: 887 newtons of bite force at the canine and 1,300 newtons at the molar position. The jaguar had watched this caiman from the sandbar's edge for over an hour. Before the jaguar reached the caiman, something else had already happened. The arapaima, a fish exceeding 100 kilograms and 2 meters in length, had retreated to deeper water. The arapaima was not threatened by this encounter. Its retreat was a response to environmental signals. Rising cortisol concentrations in the water released by the activated jaguar nearby. And retreat was the most rational response. The arapaima's movement became a signal to the surrounding ecosystem, other species reading its retreat as an indicator. Piranha arrived within minutes of blood reaching the water, not because they are aggressive, because they can detect blood at 1 part per million, equivalent to a single drop in an Olympic swimming pool. Chemical detection combined with the lateral line allows piranha to locate the source even in turbid water. In their normal diet, red-bellied piranha consume 70% plant material, seeds, fruits, submerged vegetation. But when blood is detected, the mode switches entirely. This is a rare, high-energy opportunity the piranha's nervous system is programmed to exploit completely. Piranha are the Amazon's essential cleaners by consuming carcasses and organic tissue before decomposition. They prevent disease and maintain water quality. Not every encounter between jaguar and black caiman ends with a successful skull bite. Black caiman can respond with a death roll if the jaguar attacks at the wrong angle or the caiman reacts in time. This caiman carries the marks of earlier encounters. Its lineage has persisted through 200 million years, not by never losing, but by knowing when to withdraw. This time it survived, and it is already revising its assessment. The Amazon flood does not begin in the Amazon. It begins in the Andes, when snowmelt from peaks above 6,000 meters combines with equatorial rainfall thousands of kilometers to the east, sending an immense wall of water down the basin for 6 months. Every species in the Amazon has calibrated its biology around these extraordinary water levels. When levels deviate significantly, the timing of the entire ecosystem is pushed off course. Black caiman is an ectotherm, its body temperature determined entirely by the environment. This makes flooding both a challenge and an opportunity. When water inundates the forest, water temperature shifts with depth and canopy shade. Black caiman adjusts its flood season territory along thermal gradients, seeking shallow water near tree lines where temperature holds near 28 degrees Celsius, optimal for digestion and active hunting. At temperatures below 20 degrees Celsius, caiman reflex speed drops by 40%, explaining why jaguars tend to approach caiman in the early morning, when water temperatures remain low. The survival contest is not only a matter of size and strength, it is a matter of temperature and timing. In the wet season, black caiman does not resist the flood. It moves with it, deep into the flooded forest, where fish density surges as species migrate inward to spawn. The flooded forest provides richer feeding than the main river throughout these 6 months. But the wet season is also breeding season. Black caiman nests are built on raised earthen banks, a mound of decomposing leaves, branches, and plant material, rising 1 to 1.5 meters. The female remains near the nest for 3 months, not only to guard it, but to manage its temperature, opening it when too warm, adding material when too cool. This is active thermal management, rare among reptiles. When hatchlings break through, they emit a soft call. The mother misses none of them. But sandbars and raised banks disappear day by day as flood levels rise. Hatchlings must reach shallow water within hours of emerging. Those that fail will lose heat or be detected by piranha. First-year survival is below 10%. As water floods deep into the forest, the boto appears. The boto, Amazon river dolphin, has unfused cervical vertebrae allowing it to rotate its head 90 degrees to either side. No other cetacean on Earth shares this anatomical feature. In the flooded forest, where tree trunks create a three-dimensional maze, the ability to rotate its neck allows the boto to pursue prey through corners that ocean dolphins could never navigate. Yet vision is entirely useless here. Amazon water is stained by tannins from decomposing leaves, opaque as strong tea. Black Caiman and boto share the same flooded waters, the same prey, the same space, the same season. But they do not attack each other, not because they cannot. A Caiman can kill a boto in open water, but the flooded forest changes the balance entirely. In the labyrinth of trunks and roots, the boto is far quicker and more agile. The Caiman avoids deep forest water because it loses its advantage there. Each species has simply learned the boundary at which advantage transfers from itself to the other, and it avoids crossing that line. 200 million years. This lineage existed before the Amazon had a name, before this river flowed in its current direction, before the Andes existed. The giant anaconda is the heaviest snake in the world. The largest, measured by professional research teams, reaches 8.8 meters, exceeding 100 kilograms. Claims of 12-meter anacondas typically come from unverified sources. Anacondas can stretch considerably when muscle tone is absent after death. In the dry season, giant anaconda moves to shallower, warmer water. Its ideal digestive temperature is 28 to 32 degrees Celsius. This matches the temperature of shallow, dry season river sections. The anaconda's detection does not rely on vision. It senses heat through thermoreceptor cells along the lip region and detects vibration through thousands of mechanoreceptors beneath the skin. From a semi-submerged position in mud, the anaconda builds a thermal map of everything within meters. Jaguar and anaconda use the same riverbanks on alternating shifts. The jaguar primarily from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., the anaconda primarily from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. One territory, two species, two non-overlapping shifts. This is timeshare ecology, dividing resources by time rather than space. The dry season breaks that system. When dry ground shrinks to a fraction of the total range, there is no longer enough space for two separate shifts. Overlap becomes inevitable. And this is why three-way encounters occur. Both were converging on the same capybara standing in the shallows. The jaguar stalked from the high bank, reading the wind direction, waiting for the capybara to step clear of the water. The anaconda read the capybara's body heat through the water from its lip receptors. Two different tactics, one target, the same moment. The capybara lifted its head. Nothing visible. The jaguar behind a trunk. The anaconda beneath the mud. But it smelled them. The chemical signatures of both predators had combined. Stress hormone concentrations in the water rising sharply. The capybara returned to the group. 2 hunts failed simultaneously. Intraspecific competition theory predicts when 2 predators exploit the same resource, the one capable of inflicting greater cost on the other will dominate, but this is not a pair. This is a triangle. In a triangle, each apex fears another in a different way. The jaguar can kill Anaconda and Caiman. The anaconda can kill a jaguar if it seizes one from behind in water. The caiman can kill an anaconda if it clamps across its body. No single apex holds absolute advantage over both others simultaneously. This is why none of them strikes first. The cost of serious conflict, injury in an environment where injury leads to infection, weakened hunting capacity, and death, exceeds the benefit of displacing a rival from one patch of dry ground. Non-aggression is not the result of submission. It is the result of risk-benefit calculation. The longest survivors in the Amazon are not those that fight most. They are those that know when not to fight. From the canopy above, the harpy eagle adds a 4th dimension with a wingspan of 2.2 meters. And talons 13 centimeters long, generating 530 newtons of grip force. It is the absolute predator of the forest canopy. But its presence does not only affect the canopy, it alters behavior on the ground. The landscape of fear concept describes how prey alter habitat selection based on predator distribution. Capybara in open ground know the harpy eagle patrols above. Capybara near the forest edge know the jaguar patrols below. Nowhere is absolutely safe. But each position carries a different risk profile, and the decision of where to stand is never random. In the dry season, all those landscapes of fear compress together. Less space means all risk gradients overlap. Only those with better judgment than their rivals, and those who pay the price for poor judgment. The dry season will continue, and the encounters that follow may not end as quietly as the statistics suggest. The Amazon is a place those who have lived in it for 10,000 years have not explored. They call it home. Those arriving from outside call it a mystery. It is simply a set of rules, and ignorance of the rules is not an exemption from them. The deadliest things in the Amazon are not the jaguar or the black caiman. Freshwater stingray causes more than 15,000 injuries each year in Amazonian communities, more than piranha and black caiman combined. The stingray does not attack actively. This is not passive camouflage as typically understood. This is active substrate matching. The stingray's scales reflect light at the same angle as the sand, creating not an object on a background, but an object that is the background. When stepped upon, the defensive reflex activates instantly. The tail strikes upward, the venomous spine penetrating the skin. The venom contains 5 nucleotides and phosphodiesterase, causing localized tissue necrosis in 60% of untreated cases. "64,000 jaguars remain on Earth. The jaguar you have been watching is one of them." This is not an abstract number. It is the total count across all 18 countries where jaguars still exist. Each year, more than 200 are killed by people, conflicts over livestock. And this is the problem of habitat fragmentation. When forest is divided by roads and farms, jaguars are forced across agricultural land to maintain territorial connectivity. In those zones, the risk of conflict with people rises disproportionately. A jaguar requires a minimum of 25 square kilometers to survive. Many remaining forest fragments are below 20 square kilometers. Not only insufficient in area, but insufficient to sustain a genetically viable population. An isolated jaguar population in a small forest fragment with no gene flow to other populations will begin losing genetic diversity within 3 to 5 generations. Inbreeding depression reduces immune function, reproductive capacity, and offspring survival rates. A population does not need to be directly hunted to extinction. It needs only to be isolated long enough. The trophic cascade triggered by jaguar loss is not a sudden event. It is a slow, irreversible process beyond a certain threshold. When the jaguar disappears, capybara populations lose regulation. Density rising from 8 to 12, up to 50 to 100 individuals per square kilometer. At that density, capybara strip riverbank vegetation to the roots. Banks lose root systems that hold against erosion every flood season. Sediment pours into the river, subaquatic light diminishes, aquatic vegetation declines, dissolved oxygen falls. Fish lose their breeding habitat. Fish stocks, the primary protein source for 30 million people along the Amazon, collapse. This is not a theoretical model. In the Cerrado of Brazil, following jaguar disappearance, capybara density tripled within 5 years. From the loss of one species to the transformation of a river, this is not metaphor. It is mechanics. In 2018, 8 Amazonian nations signed the Jaguar Action Plan. The goal, maintaining 645,000 square kilometers of connected forest corridor by 2030, sufficient to sustain 2,000 jaguars with gene flow between populations. By 2022, 50% of the target was being implemented in 4 recovery zones, Colombia, Belize, and 2 regions of Brazil. Jaguar populations have stabilized or increased. 34 jaguar-friendly certified farms in Mato Grosso reported 0 jaguar killings over 3 years. Livestock attacks reduced by 83% through herd protection measures, and certification enabling EU market access at 12 to 15% higher prices. This is the most significant evidence yet that conservation is not in opposition to economics when designed correctly. 34 farms is a beginning. Thousands are needed. The jaguar does not know it appears on the IUCN Red List. It knows only the river. The river knows only the forest, and the forest today is still here. But the Amazon does not announce what it holds. Its predators continue. Indifferent, unchanged, unmoved. The question is not whether the Amazon will continue. The question is whether we deserve to see it. In the Amazon, thanks to the flawless patterns on its skin, the boa constrictor becomes one with the bark and forest floor. A howler monkey has encountered a difficult situation. He can sense every heartbeat of the other through his very own skin, adjusting the pressure with remarkable precision. The intense pressure leads to a pause in blood circulation. The howler monkey loses consciousness and slips away within mere minutes. Here, amidst the lush green canopy, the final transition arrives as a state of absolute silence. Compared to the wise and powerful baboon, the vervet monkey faces a far more demanding reality. In the realm of hunters, modest size is never an advantage. It only makes the list of those seeking you out for dinner longer and more unforgiving. For the vervet monkey, the list of adversaries stretches from agile felines to sky phantoms like the crowned eagle, to the formidable baboons themselves. In an environment where the end of the road can come from any direction, this primate has been forced to develop a defense system. The vervet monkey possesses a clear and sophisticated system of signals. This tactical information must be precise. A specific cry for the leopard, a hiss for the snake, and an alarm for the eagle. Young vervet monkeys must undergo a learning process to master this system. If a rookie mispronounces a call or gives a false alarm, the adults will coldly ignore them. Learn to speak the language of survival correctly. Here, knowledge is the line between a peaceful day and a somber finale. Amidst the maze of dense canopy layers in the Amazon, an ancient phantom silently reigns. The one that makes every primate tremble at the mere sound of its wings. The harpy eagle possesses talons that span up to 18 centimeters. With 14 primate species living here, it is the instrument of the final shadow. At a height of 30 meters, monkey, capuchin, marmoset, tamarin are all on high alert. For the harpy, the fate of the prize is sealed. By sight alone, relentlessness always goes hand in hand with absolute efficiency. When an unfortunate subject is brought back to the nest, it disappears completely under the intense appetite of the seeker. The harpy eagle consumes it all. Across the ocean, from the dense jungles of the Amazon, we find our way to the misty peaks of the Philippines. The Philippine eagle, the largest eagle in the world and one of the rarest aerial seekers on the planet. Estimates suggest that breeding pairs are few and far between, with only about 392 remaining in the wild. Its primary focus is the flying lemur, the closest living relative of primates. Despite resembling flying squirrels, these mammals have much more developed membranes. When spread, they look like a massive square kite. This kite can glide for over 100 meters. For an eagle in a critically fragile state, A 1-kilogram flying lemur is a strategic energy source to nourish chicks. Here, amidst the dense canopies of the Philippines, the seeker and the sought, every link is equally vital. The baboon, world's deadliest survivors. An embodiment of resilience against the reach of the ultimate predators. These creatures possess highly intricate social structures where wit often holds more sway than raw muscle. Typically, a solitary seeker will look before they leap before deciding to engage. As the 5 centimeters long canines of a male baboon are plenty to leave lasting reminders. Machiavellian intelligence. An intellect refined for strategic maneuvering and establishing authority within intricate societies. Within a baboon troop influence is a political savvy. They truly know the ropes of their social hierarchy and doing whatever it takes to solidify their status. A large chacma baboon, weighing about 40 kilograms, a massive mismatch. But as the baboon stands on 2 legs, the young lioness must call for backup. To the more seasoned lionesses, the baboon is just a pretender. It slips into the brush, biding its time for payback. But it cannot simply march toward the resting lion pride, nor does it have the strength to take the juvenile lions. It retreats to the rocky den, home to its troop. Suddenly, a familiar sound emerges. She is all alone, exhausted following the birth. The king's little ones weigh only about 2 kilograms, tiny and fragile. Baboons are omnivores. They are exceptionally skilled at spotting the vulnerable. Another female warrior arrives. The group moves on, except for him. But the baboon must stay out of sight. The cub's faint cries will not reach its mother's ears. Soon, without warmth and mother's milk, it will no longer be able to make a sound. At Ruaha National Park, there is an exception that defies every law of nature. Welcome to the glade, a peaceful bend along the Goosey River. The Glade Pride. a robust family. The baboons are present too, lingering in close proximity. Here, the glade pride follows a genetic code. They never pursue the baboon troop. This truce carries strict conditions for both parties. As a favorite spot for grazers, the glade should naturally be a theater of high stakes. Yet the sight of the relaxed baboons provides a strange sense of security. Kudu are the most cautious of all. They are incredibly difficult to reach. At the slightest snap of a twig, the kudu will vanish. The baboons are keeping their end of the bargain, acting as the unlikely informants. The kudu has chosen this as a resting spot, an anticipated misstep. A greater kudu provides over 100 kilograms of sustenance. The lions are satisfied, while the baboons remain unharmed. Machiavellian intellect, mobbing maneuvers, ties with lions, all of these strategies are most effective when an opponent is visible and predictable. But the leopard is the most formidable test because it is in a league of its own and doesn't play by those rules. This is the most incredible large cat on the planet, a resilient survivor. This is the most incredible large cat on the planet, a resilient survivor. Unbound by any fixed menu, the leopard maintains an extensive selection of interests. The clever primate cannot utilize cooperative tactics with this seeker, for the leopard is a solitary soul. Smaller and more agile than a lion, this relentless seeker includes baboons on its list of interests. Nightfall is its preferred time for activity. It is a tall order for a daytime creature to withstand one of the finest nocturnal specialists. During the day, baboons do not retreat. Even when standing alone, a baboon demonstrates its strength. Mature male Cape baboons with exceptionally high levels of testosterone will not back down from a female leopard or a young male. But seasoned males are a whole different ballgame. They know how to throw the baboon troop into disarray and make their move before the quarry even notices. Research at the Kruger National Park confirms. During daylight hours, the success rate for a leopard confronting an adult baboon within the troop is nearly zero. Baboons make up less than 5% of a leopard's diet in most regions because the price to pay is simply too high. Lion, cheetah, leopard. Against these hunters, the baboon can negotiate, push back, or at least find a way out. The crocodile grants the baboon no such chance. If their presence is revealed, the pursuit usually comes to nothing because baboons are far too quick on solid ground. At Tsavo West, water is the essence of life. The Nile crocodile oversees this domain. During those fleeting moments of refreshing themselves, focus wanes, and that is all a seeker needs to take action. The crocodile's jaw strength is unparalleled in the animal world. The only reason this yellow baboon remains among us is the particular scale of the crocodile. The baboon troop lingers. They see a chance to turn the tide. It will be quite a while before he gathers the spirit to return to this riverbank. But the relationship between the baboon and the crocodile isn't always a one-way street. There is a time of year when they turn the tables. From July to September in East Africa, the female lays 40 to 80 eggs, and staying on guard throughout the 80 to 90 days of incubation. The mother crocodile goes without food entirely during that time, losing up to 30% of her body weight. This is the only stretch of her life where she is no longer the perfect ambusher. They are tied down to a single spot. Baboons are well aware of this window. The success rate for such raids reaches 75%. Yet, baboons cannot avoid the water's edge forever. During the dry season, the troops must relocate to find new water sources. At times, that means crossing the river. The journey across the water is the most high-stakes moment. And despite every careful step, a mishap still occurs. The strike happens before the baboon's brain can process the signal. Once the baboon is pulled into the water, the scale tips entirely in the crocodile's favor. All the tools that have helped baboons survive for millions of years. All come to nothing. This is the ultimate boundary that intellect cannot cross. If the crocodile exploits environmental vulnerabilities, the African rock python takes advantage of something even more unsettling: the blind spot. The python is a sit-and-wait specialist. It simply bides its time for the baboons to come to it. No clear scent, no sound, no movement. Baboons have no biological response for a creature that is hidden in plain sight. The python is highly tuned to vibrations and scent to detect an approaching troop. When a youngster or a female drifts too close, the python launches its coils with incredible speed. The bite has no venom, but it holds the prize fast. Leaving no room for escape. Research indicates the python can feel its catch's heartbeat through its skin, tightening with every pulse, until the rhythm comes to a rest. The sheer force ensures the baboon drifts away much faster than through a simple lack of air. No rescue is possible. Unlike the crocodile with its clear boundaries, the rock python has no set zone of concern. They could be anywhere. No warnings exist. There is no path back once the situation has gone south. This holds true not just in Africa, but in every wild kingdom under the sun. Compared to the wise and powerful baboon, the vervet monkey faces a far more demanding reality. In the realm of hunters, modest size is never an advantage. It only makes the list of those seeking you out for dinner longer and more unforgiving. For the vervet monkey, the list of adversaries stretches from agile felines to sky phantoms like the crowned eagle, to the formidable baboons themselves. In an environment where the end of the road can come from any direction, this primate has been forced to develop a defense system. The vervet monkey possesses a clear and sophisticated system of signals. This tactical information must be precise. A specific cry for the leopard, a hiss for the snake, and an alarm for the eagle. Young vervet monkeys must undergo a learning process to master this system. If a rookie mispronounces a call or gives a false alarm, the adults will coldly ignore them. Learn to speak the language of survival correctly. Here, knowledge is the line between a peaceful day and a somber finale. As the reptiles retreat into the shadows, the savannah once again welcomes the return of the sophisticated seeker. The leopard's sense of smell is so powerful. It can distinguish the specific scents of primates among the thousands of other aromas in the deep forest. He acts as a biological scanner, following the chemical trails left by the monkey troop on the branches. Absolute immobility. This is an intense psychological match between the seeker and the sought. If the primate's stillness is deep enough, it can mislead even the leopard's instincts. Unable to identify a target through movement, the seeker begins to doubt his own senses and eventually decides to call it a day. Well done. Yet there are times when silence and the treetops are not the perfect refuge. The eagle is more than just a hunter. It is a high-performance machine, and the greatest challenge the troop will ever face. The crowned eagle possesses superb vision, capable of spotting the slightest movement from more than 3 kilometers away. To them, the forest canopy is not a place to hide, but a detailed map. Each vervet monkey appears as a clearly marked destination. And when the sky phantom arrives, its ultimate tools are activated. The target's fate is often sealed in the blink of an eye once contact is made. For the eagle, the primate represents a premium source of protein. These primates are no mere snack, but a vital key to an entire species' survival. However, the eagle is highly selective. He does not make a move at random. By focusing on the most vulnerable, he ensures only the strongest lineages make the cut to carry on. In response, the primate has developed an incredibly complex language. Distinct calls are reserved for every specific type of specialized seeker. Even smaller than flying lemurs, the bush baby resembles a blend of a squirrel, a cat, and a tiny alien. For a little one of their size, every shadow could potentially be the end of the line. The genet is one of the few arboreal specialists clever enough to challenge the masters of the canopy. Its long tail serves as a high-precision balancing tool, allowing it to navigate the branches like a seasoned tightrope walker. But even for a seasoned seeker who is playing for keeps, the savannah offers no guarantees. By releasing the energy stored in specialized tendons, a leap 30 times its body length is performed. Within this forest, the smallest players often have the greatest surprises up their sleeve. But in the shadows of the dense forest canopy, another seeker exists that doesn't rely on pure speed or random luck. Meet the chimpanzee, not just a close relative, but an exceptionally clever hunter. These chimpanzees don't chase, they search with an unsettling level of patience. Occasionally, they tap gently on the trunk, listening for the faintest vibrations from within, a probe to confirm a presence. Once the target is identified, the quest begins with a tool few would expect, and it's clear these primates really know the ropes. While adult males often prefer to show off their muscle by pursuing larger prizes on the ground, it is the females and juveniles who truly lead the pack in using this technology. It's a clever way to supplement their diet with precious protein without overexerting themselves. But the chimpanzee's wit doesn't stop with the tiny bush babies. Let's look deeper into this fascinating yet truly formidable primate. But the Amazon is not the only place on this planet. Answering the challenge of survival, thousands of miles away, on another continent, where sunlight doesn't filter through canopy but scorches straight down onto cracked earth. Life goes on. Not through abundance, not through beauty, but through something far rougher: the will to endure. This is Africa, and this is not a story about the strongest. This is a story about those who refuse to fall. On this continent, every dawn brings life, and every sunset leaves the final curtain in its wake. Here, the sun does not merely shine, it judges. Every ray of light exposes who will endure the night and who will never see tomorrow's dawn. The savannah stretches endlessly. From the red sands of the Kalahari to the golden grasslands of the Serengeti. From the parched rivers of Botswana to the vast Okavango Delta. And across this land, an ancient question has echoed for millions of years. Who is the true king of the savannah? Is it the loudest roarer, the fastest, or the strongest? Or does the true king wear no crown, yet hold a far greater power, fear? Because in Africa, fear is not a weakness. Fear is a compass, a teacher, a weapon. Predators fear failure, because a missed pounce could mean their final meal. Prey fears the end, because every misstep offers no second chance. The herd fears separation, because standing alone on the savannah is a one-way ticket to the end. To find the answer, we will journey through 5 lands, 5 arenas, where fear takes center stage and reveals the true nature of every species. From the harsh Kalahari Desert, across the vast Serengeti grasslands, along the dry Boteti River, to the wild fortress of Zakuma, and finally the flooded paradise of the Okavango Delta. Every stop is a test. Each species must face its own fears, and how they respond will determine who is worthy to sit upon the throne of the savannah. The first answer does not lie in crowded places. It hides within the brutal solitude of the Kalahari Desert, where speed is everything, and time is an unbeatable foe. In this place, life requires no invitation. It arrives on its own, carried by swiftness. A pale yellow shadow appears on the horizon. The body presses close to the ground, gaze locked onto the target, more than 90 meters away. The cheetah is the ultimate speed machine, a predator engineered for a single action. An explosion of power. With breathtaking acceleration, it reaches 100 kilometers per hour. From a dead stop in under 3 seconds, faster than most supercars on the planet. Its evolutionary weapons include a spine that flexes like a coiled spring, non-retractable claws that grip the earth like track spikes, along with a long tail acting as a rudder at dizzying speeds. Every muscle fiber in the cheetah's body is designed for acceleration, but speed comes with a staggering price. 20 to 30 seconds, that is all the time its fast twitch muscles allow, before its energy reserves are completely spent. Spanning a vast expanse of nearly 20,000 square kilometers in northeastern South Africa, Kruger National Park remains a vibrant living monument of the ancient world, larger than several sovereign nations. It is home to a gathering of more than 1,500 lions. But venturing deep into Timbavati, this is the sacred dwelling of the star lions, according to the oral traditions of the native Shangaan people, the celestial descendants of the sky. The Ross Pride once stood as the most illustrious lineage of this territory. Until the passing of the original dominant males after the year 2010. Now, with the arrival of new life and 2 formidable protectors, the Ross Pride is reclaiming its supreme presence over this kingdom. Science observes that the ivory coat of these lions is the result of leucism. It is not a biological discrepancy like albinism, which entirely omits pigment and limits visual clarity. But the radiant beauty of these star lions has unintentionally diminished the natural grace of blending into the amber horizon. It makes them highly visible to others who view such rarity as a challenge. Their counterparts are the giraffe pride. They also represent a white star lineage, led by 2 wise and discerning white queens. One among them ventured to follow a young member of the Ross Pride and faced a significant consequence. Unfortunately, the energized barrier marked the final limit for the white lioness, serving as a protective boundary between her and the members of the Ross pride. A meaningful lesson on the consequence of prominence and the fragile line between influence and the conclusion of an era across the ever-shifting landscape of Kruger. East Africa's Garden of Eden. Ngorongoro Crater. It is the world's largest intact, inactive volcanic caldera. The density of powerful seekers here is the highest in Africa, especially the lions. Specialized paw pads enable these giants to glide across dry grass without making a single sound. Hidden deep within the tall grass, they begin setting a perimeter. Lions understand that to overcome an opponent 5 times their weight, they must shatter the buffalo herd's unity to gain the upper hand. And turn the terrain into a tool. While one lioness targets the hind legs, others leverage explosive muscle power to bring the target down. For a Cape buffalo, the deciding factor is often the suffocation grasp. It takes several minutes for the powerful opponent to yield. One life fades to sustain a dynasty, continuing nature's unrelenting cycle. Ngorongoro lions possess a unique, regal presence with their thick, dark manes. This is the result of elevated testosterone levels and a biological response to the cool temperatures inside the basin, which helps them stay warm. However, secluded by walls reaching 600 meters, the current lion population has emerged from a very narrow genetic circle. Because of this, the high-stakes showdowns to guard their territory unfold with a frequency and intensity that is off the charts, surpassing any other place on the planet. At the heart of Ngorongoro, spotted hyenas lead the way with 400 to 500 individuals. Lions number a modest 65 to 75. Yet this does not diminish their profound influence. Research here indicates that hyenas secure 80% of their meals through elite teamwork to bring down both zebra and buffalo. But lions frequently step in to take the lion's share, using their physical power to reclaim the prize from the hyenas. In the hyena world, leadership belongs to the females. The clans are guided by females that are larger and more assertive than the males. A group of hyenas can surround and reclaim 100% of the spoils from lionesses. Everything changes the moment the king arrives. It is a deep-seated instinct, for they know that a single heavy blow is enough to bring a swift conclusion to a hyena instantly. As we move through 2026, the Cope Lion Conservation Project is working to establish safe corridors, hoping to bridge lions from the Serengeti plains into the crater. The goal is to introduce new genetic variety to protect the lion population from biological decline. Moving towards southern Africa, another intense chapter of survival is unfolding. South Luangwa, the crown jewel of African safaris. Yet for the creatures dwelling within this valley, this is a high-stakes arena of existence. This valley serves as a sanctuary for unique species. Thornycroft's giraffes display intricate, leaf-like patterns. Crawshay's zebras wear coats of fine, dense stripes. And the Cookson's wildebeest, a solitary wanderer, exclusive to these lands. Life revolves around the Luangwa River, one of the continent's last truly wild river systems. On the open plains of South Luangwa, stealth is a luxury. Cheetahs know this well. The cheetah is the savanna's ultimate sprinter, a living being perfectly engineered for high-speed bursts. A small head, flat chest, and long, slender legs minimize air resistance. Meanwhile, wide nostrils open fully to fuel massive lungs with oxygen. A cheetah's claws act like specialized track spikes. Blunt and semi-retractable, they provide maximum traction during high-velocity pursuits. But in this arena, those they follow are definitely not lagging behind. When a cheetah locks onto a target, the world becomes a blur in the blink of an eye. A flexible spine propels its body forward with strides reaching 8 meters long. A long tail provides absolute stability. makes any rescue effort ineffective. However, the gift of speed always comes with a steep price. After every successful pursuit, the victor becomes the most vulnerable. It must lie there panting, watching its prize while its heart works to cool down the entire system. In that state of exhaustion, the cheetah is entirely exposed to more imposing giants. Leopards excel at securing their finds much better than cheetahs. They are capable of hauling a catch twice their own weight up into trees as high as 15 meters. They turn these elevated spots into their personal strongholds. South Luangwa is a leopard sanctuary. The leopard population is so dense that they no longer view people as a concern. This seeker always begins its mission from the shadows and absolute silence. Lacking the cheetah's lightning speed or the lion's overwhelming group power, it is a solitary wanderer living by intelligence and patience. Every step is calculated to remain silent, hearing 5 times more sensitive than a human's. Scanning every breath of the target. The leopard intercepts the target in mid-flight. A perfect harmony of strength and precision from a master who clearly calls the shots. Moving away from these loud encounters, we head west, where green grass yields to waves of burnt orange sand. The Namib Desert dates back 55 to 80 million years. This land uses time and searing heat to filter existence. Even when giants must bow to the lack of water, the small ones begin their lesson in endurance. Within the desert lies Deadliest, a pristine white clay pan where camel thorn trees that finished their journey 600 to 900 years ago remain upright. In an ecosystem with nearly zero moisture, the idea of breaking down is a foreign concept. Sun-scorched into dark silhouettes, these trees have truly stood the test of time against the vibrant orange dunes and the deep blue sky. When temperatures reach 40 degrees Celsius, life still finds a way to weave through the narrowest cracks. This is the domain of the rock scorpion. Over the ages, this large arachnid has evolved a sophisticated toolkit. Its extremely flat body lets it slip deep into rock fissures to beat the heat and avoid unwanted attention. Though its venom is among the least potent of its kind, it compensates with sheer physical power. Its pincers act like hydraulic pistons, possessing enough pressure to crush even the toughest shells. Its strategy for securing a meal relies on sensing vibrations. For a millipede passing by chance, a final chapter emerging from the shadows of the stone is an inevitability. Deep within the desert's furnace, the sand can scorch any inhabitant at 70 degrees Celsius. This is the domain of the Sidewinder, a master who has turned physics into a survival asset. Its name tells the story of its remarkable evolution. By tossing its midsection forward, it keeps contact with the searing surface to a minimum, while creating incredible momentum across the shifting sand. Yet its cleverness shines brightest in the art of concealment. Its eyes are like periscopes set atop its head. Tucked deep under the surface, it leaves no suspicious marks behind. Fully hidden, the Sidewinder reveals a darker tail tip and wiggles it, perfectly imitating a small worm. To a hungry lizard, this looks like a simple catch. But as soon as the target lets its guard down, the trap is sprung. One more journey concludes through this seamless harmony of disguise and trickery, proving that this seeker truly knows the ropes. And not far from the unforgiving sands, a life-giving flow emerges. We are entering Okavango. This is one of the world's premier inland delta systems, where the Okavango River goes against the grain by wandering inland instead of meeting the ocean. This massive volume of water eventually evaporates or sinks deep into the earth, creating a lush oasis covering 15,000 square kilometers in the heart of the parched Kalahari. But what truly makes Okavango a marvel is its flooding paradox. When the rest of Botswana is feeling the heat of the driest months, the pulse of upstream waters finally reaches the delta. While the continent withers, Okavango becomes a massive, life-sustaining basin, drawing in countless residents from every direction to find renewal. Within this liquid labyrinth, a hidden world of patient seekers is lying in wait. The Nile crocodile holds dominion here through a sense of awe. They possess breathtaking bursts of speed. These massive figures can close the distance to their target without leaving a single ripple behind. Armored scales soak up the sun's warmth to fuel their internal systems. A network of capillaries circulates warmth, priming muscle groups and sharpening their vision. Short, muscular limbs tuck close to the body to minimize drag in the water. Eyes, ears, and nostrils aligned along the top of the head reflect a sophisticated biological design. This setup allows a creature spanning 6 meters and weighing up to 1,000 kilograms to completely vanish in water only 30 centimeters deep. As thirsty visitors draw near, the crocodiles descend below the surface. To remain perfectly hidden, they adjust their 4-chambered heart, directing oxygen-rich blood only to the most vital systems. The heart rate slows to a mere 2 beats per minute, allowing them to remain in a submerged wait for up to 2 hours. A heavy stillness settles over the water, masking a master of the craft just centimeters from its goal. The target remains completely unaware that its journey is nearing an end. Few ever manage to slip away from such a powerful conclusion, even those who are skilled seekers themselves. Yet even the Nile crocodile must keep an eye out for one formidable rival. Water is typically a feline's adversary. But in the Okavango Delta, that rule is tossed aside. Lions have mastered these channels. The Duba Plains pride has even transformed into amphibious seekers, ready to swim across the deepest waterways. But beneath that still surface, an ancient ambush specialist from millions of years ago remains concealed. A clash between these two top-tier figures is inevitable. Across the waterhole lies the pride's home. Mothers are leading their young back to meet the extended family. The cubs are full of spirit, experiencing this journey for the first time. They are completely off their guard. The mothers clearly did not anticipate this turn of events. They have plenty of heart, but are still learning the ropes of parenting. A somber outcome. When a prize sits on the thin line between wet and dry, respect yields to raw power. Conflicts typically flare up when sustenance is scarce, leading to disputes over a find. During these times, the struggles often end in a tug-of-war at the water's edge, or grand displays of dominance. In these high-stakes moments, whoever has the size advantage usually holds all the aces. This massive crocodile can crush a lion's femur with a single snap of its jaws. The male lion is forced to intervene. In this arena, a single heartbeat of hesitation can turn a master seeker into a meal on the riverbed. Unlike most spiders bound to the soil, the fishing spider has a leg up on the competition with its rare ability to walk across liquid surfaces. They utilize surface tension, where the cohesive pull of water molecules acts like a powerful thin membrane. With a body weight of less than 1 gram, their long legs are coated in a specialized water-repellent wax. Microscopic hairs at the tips of their feet allow them to stand steady on the water's surface. Advanced biological sensors have recorded their sophisticated leg pressure regulation used to maintain absolute balance. When needing to evade larger seekers below, this spider can dash across the surface with incredible speed. They even employ a deep diving technique by trapping an air bubble within fine hairs, allowing them to breathe underwater for 30 minutes to wait in ambush or find safety. While others are stirring the water, a silent ghost of the sky sweeps through the atmosphere. With vision 5 times sharper than a human with perfect sight, it detects the slightest ripple from nearly 100 meters away. The African fish eagle doesn't need overwhelming force. It truly knows its stuff when it comes to precision from above. Every movement below serves as a stepping stone for a flawless endeavor about to begin. The water's surface can be a precarious spot for both targets and land-dwelling giants. But this sky belongs to a different master. The African fish eagle is an incredibly efficient provider. It spends a mere 10 minutes each day on the actual pursuit. Every eagle possesses excellent vision, but this aquatic ruler has an extraordinary optical system. Dual focal points allow it to see forward and to both sides simultaneously without turning its head. Its sight is 5 times sharper than a human with perfect vision. From a distance of nearly 100 meters, it can detect the slightest ripple of a swimming fish. We have just passed through the most unfiltered cross-sections of the Amazon's rigorous evolutionary mechanics, where 11 million years of flood cycles and the restraining networks of apex predators have shaped all life. Which animal in today's film changed the way you see the wild world? Was it the solitary jaguar? 3.5 million years of perfected design, or the information weapons and collective discipline of the giant otter? Leave your experience in the comments below. Your understanding is the finest tribute these wild animals can receive. Like and subscribe to join the next expedition, where we continue decoding the most extraordinary survival codes on Earth. And if you want to explore more, continue with Win or Die, full episode. Deadliest Battles for Survival or Lion Attack, the Mapogo Battle for Survival.